An AFC matchup, a rematch of a playoff game of years gone by. A couple of teams that fancy themselves as being playoff teams here in 2023. Patrick Mahomes and the 0-1 Chiefs paying a visit to Northern Florida to take on 1-0 Jacksonville. And I don't know if you saw this game or not. Maybe you did not check it out, but Patrick Mahomes had not one but two touchdown passes, including one to Travis Kelce, back in the lineup. The gang all back together again there for the Chiefs as Chris Jones played on defense. Kansas City overcoming not one, not two, but three turnovers and a gaggle of penalties. And they beat Jacksonville anyway, 17-9 on their third victory against the Jags in the last 10 months, thanks to the playoff win. So the Chiefs have now won 8 straight head-to-head. They become the first Super Bowl champion. They avoid becoming the first Super Bowl champion to get off to an 0-2 start. Last time that happened, you got to go all the way back to the 90s. The Denver Broncos in 1999, the last time a Super Bowl champion the following year got off to the 0-2 start. So let us discuss the question, the better story in the losing locker room. So what stood out? We'll start with Jacksonville. What stood out here for the Jags in the loss? I've got George Thorogood, Sour Patch Kids, and innards. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a headache, which is what the Jacksonville coaching staff likely had following this particular game. So, this matchup was a measuring stick game. We said it going in, and it was what we thought it was going into this game, a measuring stick game. Jacksonville does not measure up. They did not pass the test. They had 2 early possessions deep in Kansas City territory, and off of mistakes by the Chiefs. They only got 3 points out of that. They could not even get in the end zone one time. And you talk about winning plays. And I'm high on Jacksonville. I'm upselling the Jags, and I love the talent and Trevor Lawrence and all that. But facts are the facts. And if you don't have the facts, get out of here. And the fact is, Trevor Lawrence did not cut the mustard. He did not. Completion percentage was terrible. In fact, I think it was the 6th worst of his career. I read that in the postmortem on this particular game. And he was sacked 4 times. Jacksonville as a team was dreadful on 3rd down. They just could not execute. And they went to the red zone 3 times, and they went 0 for 3. Now, I may or may not have had a bit of a financial stake in this game. And in the late stages of the game, in the second half of the game, there was one drive in particular where I wanted to break my television. One thing in particular. Now, the Jags, I mentioned they couldn't take advantage of this, but the Chiefs kept making mistakes. They had 12 penalties for almost 100 yards in penalty yardage that was given to Jacksonville on a silver platter, and it was like the classic rock tune from back in the 80s, the George Thorogood, Bad to the Bone. Jacksonville, here's the play. Jacksonville had the ball, a 1st and goal to go at the 1-yard line. 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. Do you see what they did on that particular drive? Not once, but twice did they botch this. Now, there was a play call which was questionable, and that was Trevor Lawrence on a quarterback keeper. They ran the option play at the goal line, but he got stopped for a 3-yard loss. But then total brain fog for the Jags in Duval County, as not only did Calvin Ridley, but Zay Jones each caught passes in the back of the end zone, but could not keep their feet in bounds. Who goofed? I've got to know. Ridley and Jones, neither one of them could get both their feet down, and that ended up being the end of it for me. At that point, I was just, come on. To do it one time, you're like, okay, it happened one time. But on the same exact goal-to-go situation, you're telling me 2 of your receivers, both of them can't remember to get their feet out of bounds? That's inbounds, rather. They were out of bounds. It's embarrassing. It's a bad job. All right, turning the page on that. Before we turn the page, I didn't think Kansas City, they won the game, and that's great, but they got a ways to go. All right, that's one of those gift wins. 12 penalties, 3 turnovers, and a partridge in a pear tree. You do that on most days, you lose. They happen to win. Congratulations, but it's not like that was a masterpiece performance by Andy Reid's team. Now, we head to Tampa Bay, formerly known as Tampa Bay, and that is where the Buccaneers took on the Chicago Bears. The Bears! And how did that turn out? The Chicago Bears played like who we thought they were.
The Bears.
And they blow. They are hibernating Bears, 27-17, and all those pundits talking about the Chicago Bears, a team on the run.
They are who we thought they were.
Can we check the odds on that Justin Fields MVP campaign? How's that working out? Is that good? No? All right, don't ask. I know. Well, the better story is in the Chicago locker room, 0-2, and Justin Fields continues to be horrific at quarterback for the Chicago Bears, despite all of the love. And, oh, man, did he have a lot of love. The bubble bath here, the massage there from the media types. Justin Fields continues to provide bagged manure on a weekly basis, bagged up manure. And in this game, converted 55% of his throws, had 211 yards passing, was sacked not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. How about 6 times Justin Fields was sacked, and he had a couple of interceptions, including an all-time bonehead interception deep in Chicago territory. So how big a mess is Justin Fields, you ask? Justin Fields is a 4-alarm fire at this point, and the fire department's on strike. 4-alarm fire. There's no fire trucks in the neighborhood. Chicago had the number 1 overall pick.
Number 1.
They could have gotten any of the quarterbacks they wanted in the draft. They determined that none of them were better than this guy. And maybe that will turn out to be accurate, but at this point, woo, man, is that guy flawed. Justin Fields, and we were amazed going into the season with all the wonderful things that were being said about Justin Fields, and we have confirmation on our end that we were right, and the pundits who were upselling Justin Fields are bozo the clown types, is what they are. And we were told, listen, the roster's better, right? And the Bears' argument was the roster's better. We've got some better offensive linemen. We've got better wide receivers. It was all on Justin Fields. It's the same crappy argument that Patriot apologists are making for Mac Jones. So, well, we need a better offensive line. We need a better play calling. We need better skill players. So the Chicago Bears claimed, we can debate whether this is true or not, but they claimed they went out and got better wide receivers. They have a better offensive line, that they're going to have, everything will be better around Justin Fields. It takes a village to raise a quarterback. So they did all that. How's it working out? I'm asking for a friend. How's it working out so far? Justin Fields continues to be one of the Sour Patch kids. Man, there's a lot of citric acid watching Justin Fields run around out there, right in your gut, as he continues to be a stumble bum under center. The biggest sin continues to be holding the damn ball for too long. And it's like he holds onto that ball like it's his blinky, like it's his favorite stuffed animal. And he doesn't want to get rid of the ball. And as a result, what ends up happening? Even if you have good offensive line protection, you end up getting sacked. And then dumb people, the low information fan, they blame the offensive line. It's always blame the fat guys. But more times than not, and when I was watching this game, I wasn't watching every second of the Bears-Buccaneers game, but it was in my rotation. And when I was flipping to the game, I was like, oh, there's another mistake. You got to get rid of the ball quick. The whole key, get rid of it quick. Treat the football like a hot potato. You don't massage it like it's a baby. And he holds it like it's a toddler. And he's trying to get the baby to go to bed, and you got to treat that thing like it's on fire and get rid of it. Quick, boom, 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 rat-a-tat-tat. He didn't do it. Maybe the Bears should hire me as a coach. I'd just give that pep talk, and then I'd go eat deep dish pizza in Chicago, and then that would be it. I'd be out of there. But the holding the ball and blame the offensive line, blah, 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 blah. All right, now last word. Let's head to the Motor City, where Geno Smith, of all people, passed for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Seahawks pulled out a 37-31 walk-off overtime win over the Motor City Kitties. Seattle left for dead last week after losing to the Rams. They're 1-1. Detroit drops to 1-1. Now, Dan Campbell, following this game, Dan Campbell said that essentially this was humble pie, right? That this was humble pie, and that was the issue, right? That if the Lions want to accomplish their goals this season, this loss will serve as humble pie going forward. So I wanted to address that. Now, the humble pie quote on the menu from Dan Campbell, do you agree or disagree with that take? from Dan Campbell. So I actually agree with Dan Campbell on this one, although it was one of those things that you could see and you couldn't stop it. And it's one of the few things we got right handicapping the NFL card on Sunday was that this was a classic spot where the Lions had beaten the Chiefs and the media was pumping the tires on the Detroit Lions, and they were the toast of the NFL after that Thursday night win. And it's like, oh, the Lions have arrived. Here we go. And then they have to go out and play another game. It's like the old argument we make, and we've used the analogy before, that you win a big game, and it's like your Super Bowl, you don't play another Super Bowl the next game. Is not for another 6-7 months or whatever it is after the Super Bowl. But the Lions clearly not into it at the beginning. And you had Seattle on the other side, who was as low as you could possibly be. The Rams, with a bunch of nobodies, were running up and down the field there. They had an unlicensed fish fry in Seattle in week one. DK Metcalf even went out. We talked about this at the end of last week. DK Metcalf implied the team didn't even play hard. They were not focused. Those aren't my words. Those are words from DK Metcalf. So you expected a better performance by Seattle and a worse performance by Detroit. That's exactly what happened. And now the pendulum shifts back to the Lions because you had the stinker against Seattle at home, and now what do you got? All right? And they get to eat that foul pie. And by the way, the humble pie, that is a reference to a term umbles. Now, I didn't know what umbles were. Umbles is, they turned it into humble, but umbles is the guts, the innards of a deer. So, like, if you eat the umbles, you're eating, you're eating that heart, the liver, all the guts, all that stuff. Yeah. And so, apparently, if you didn't have a lot of money, that's what you had to eat back in the. Maybe you're still eating it. I don't know. But not good. Not good. So Detroit plays host to the 2-0 Falcons in week number 3 in the NFL. So we have that to look forward to. It is the Ben Maller Show as we continue on. Here is some post-game flavor. Doug Peterson. We'll go back to that Jacksonville game. Doug Peterson, coach of the Jags here, commenting on what went wrong. And we pointed out a lot of mistakes by Jacksonville. And here's Doug Peterson pointing out Captain Obvious. Take a listen.
You play good teams, you play well-coached teams, you can't beat yourself. And that's what we did today. We beat ourselves. Yes, the defense, yes, special teams played well, but it takes all three phases, right? And that's what football teams do, and we didn't do that well enough today. The opportunities were there, and we didn't do it.
Now, Jacksonville has been dreadful the first 2 weeks of the year in the red zone, which, I didn't coach in the NFL. I didn't play in the NFL. I don't think that's good. But what do I know? I just do the overnight show. Anyway, here is Trevor Lawrence pointing out that the red zone has been a red tide of doom.
We had our opportunities. We were in the red zone 4 times and came away with 9 points. And that's, can't do that. You're not going to beat good teams when you do that. So we got to be better.
Got to be better. Doesn't help me now. Got to be better. All right, how about Dan Campbell? The Lions end up losing, as we talked about there, to Seattle. Jared Goff had the long stretch of games without a turnover. That ended. He threw a pick 6 in this game. That certainly helped Seattle come back. And here's Dan Campbell. Will he massage Jared Goff? Will he rip Jared Goff or be somewhere in the middle? Let's go to the audio tape.
Man, this is why we work them over and over. You got to be decisive, man. You can't do that to your Q. So, but I'll know more tomorrow. I need to watch it in real time. I thought Goff played really well. Really well. Man, he looked comfortable, calm. I thought he was accurate. He threw the heck out of it, and he was in it. And I was really proud of the way he played.
See, that's reverse. He started out by ripping him, and then he gave 2 compliments. Wasn't that a rip? It sounded like a rip to me, and then he moved into compliment territory. That is not the compliment sandwich, which you don't normally get, where you give a compliment, then rip the person, and then give a compliment on the way out. He went rip and then compliment. So he screwed up the sandwich. He's not a good sandwich maker. It's a bad job by him.